If you've been scrolling through endless rows of LED panels, reading specs that all sound the same, and still feel that knot in your stomach because you're not sure which light will actually survive the grind of a weekend gig, this review is here to cut through the noise. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent a few nights setting up the ADJ Jolt panel FXIP in a cramped club booth, testing its DMX response while a local band ran through their set, and I'll walk you through exactly what that felt like so you can decide if it's the right fit for your rig or if you should keep looking. First off, the Jolt panel is marketed as a RGBW SMD LED DMX strobe/wash light with an IP65 rating, which basically means it can take a splash or a dust-filled stage without hiccuping. That's a promise that matters in real life because most of us don't have climate-controlled warehouses for our gear. We're hauling these things into basements, outdoor festivals, and sometimes even the back of a pickup. The first thing I noticed when I powered it up was the OLED display that shows the current mode and DMX address. It's tiny, but bright enough that you can glance at it even when the room is bathed in black light. That little screen saved me a couple of minutes the first night, because I could verify the address without pulling out a laptop. The panel itself measures about the size of a small poster, so it fits nicely on a standard lighting truss or a flat wall mount. When I clipped it to a 12-inch square bar and angled it toward the dance floor, the wash side gave a smooth, even spread of color that didn't look like a single pixel flickering. The RGBW mix is where the difference shows up. You get the classic red, green, blue palette, plus a dedicated white LED that fills in the gaps, making pastel tones look far more natural. In a practical sense, that means you can dial in a warm amber for a lounge vibe, switch to a crisp cyan for a high-energy track, and still have a clean white for moments when you just need to illuminate a speaker stack without adding color bias. Strobing is where the FXIP part of the name comes in. The panel can pulse at rates up to 20 Hz, which is fast enough to create that classic club strobe without turning the LEDs into a flickering mess. I ran a test where I synced the strobe to the beat of a techno track, and the transitions were tight, no lag, no dropped frames. The built-in DMX decoder responded instantly, which is a big deal if you're using a lighting console or even a simple USB DMX interface. For someone who runs a small bar or a mobile DJ setup, that plug-and-play reliability can be the difference between a seamless show and a frantic scramble to readdress a fixture. Now, let's talk about the hidden trade-offs. The panel draws about 150 watts at full white output, which is respectable for its size, but you'll notice the power draw jump when you engage the strobe at high speeds. In a tight venue with a limited circuit, you might need to plan the load a little more carefully. I also ran the panel on a single 12-volt battery pack for a pop-up outdoor event. It ran for roughly 3 hours at a moderate wash level before the voltage started to sag, which meant the colors dulled slightly. That's not a deal breaker, but if you're relying on battery power for extended sets, you'll want a higher capacity source or a secondary backup. Who should actually consider buying this panel? If you're a DJ or small venue lighting tech who needs a versatile color wash that can also double as a strobe without pulling a separate fixture, the Jolt panel checks a lot of boxes. It's especially handy if you're working with limited rig space. The compact footprint means you can stack a few of them side by side and still have room for other gear. The IP65 rating also makes it a safe bet for outdoor weddings, rooftop parties, or any setup where rain or dust is a realistic concern. Because it uses SMD LEDs, the color rendering stays consistent over time, so you won't be chasing a fade after a few months of use. On the other side of the coin, there are a few scenarios where you might want to look elsewhere. If you're a professional lighting designer who needs a high-output moving head or a fixture with built-in gobas, lenses, and pan/tilt capabilities, this panel won't fill that role. It's a static wash and strobe only. Likewise, if you run a venue with a massive power budget and you need a fixture that can push hundreds of watts of white for a full stage wash, you'll probably outgrow the Jolt's 150-watt ceiling. Finally, if your workflow relies heavily on advanced effects like pixel mapping across a wall of LEDs, you'll need a product that supports addressable pixel control, which this unit does not. From